Have you ever sat in silence, wondering why it always ends the same? Why everyone eventually walks away, no matter how deeply you loved, how much you gave, how loyal you stayed? It's like people come into your life, make you feel seen for a moment, and then vanish like you were never enough to begin with. But here's the truth no one told you. They didn't leave because you were too much. They left because your presence exposed what they weren't ready to confront in themselves. You are not being abandoned. You are being protected. You carry something different, something rare, something spiritual. And most people don't know how to handle it. When you walk into a room, you don't just bring conversation. You bring energy. You bring depth. You bring light. And light doesn't always make people feel comfortable, especially when they're hiding in their shadows. You weren't meant to be accepted by everyone. You weren't meant to fit into places that can't contain your growth. And that ache you feel when someone leaves, that deep, hollow silence, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Because what you don't see is what God sees. He sees the hearts that smiled at you but secretly resented your spirit. He sees the hands that held you while planting seeds of doubt in your mind. He sees the ones who only stayed close to drain you, not love you. So he removes them, and it feels like loss. But it's actually alignment. It's divine editing, pruning, refining. Because the next chapter of your life cannot be built on the broken foundations of shallow connections. They didn't leave because something is wrong with you. They left because the assignment over your life is too heavy for those who lack substance. They couldn't understand your loyalty because they've never been loyal to themselves. They couldn't match your love because they've never healed their own wounds. They couldn't stand your silence because it reminded them of everything they avoid within. And you took it personally. You thought, what's wrong with me? But the better question is, what is God preparing me for that required this much isolation? Chosen one, listen carefully. Loneliness is not a curse, it's a classroom. And you're not in punishment, you're in training. You had to learn how to stop chasing people who only loved the idea of you. You had to learn how to stop begging for space in hearts that were never meant to hold you. You had to learn how to sit in your own energy and realize, I am still whole even when no one claps, calls, or stays. You thought their presence validated your worth. But God needed you to see the truth. You were always enough. You were always powerful. You were always chosen. But as long as you stayed surrounded by the wrong ones, you'd never meet the right ones. Because real doesn't come when you're still attached to fake. And purpose doesn't activate when you're distracted by people who were only meant to be a pit stop, not a permanent home. You gave your loyalty to people who couldn't even give you honesty. You poured your heart into spaces that only saw you as a convenience. You tried to hold on to people who were sent to exit, not evolve. And now it hurts. But it also heals. Because in the silence they left behind, you're hearing your own voice again. In the absence they created, God is pouring presence. In the void they left, you're learning to fill it with your own love, not their approval. You're starting to understand. Every exit wasn't an end. It was a gateway, a shift, the divine clearing. Because before God blesses you with who's meant for you, He strips away everyone who's blocking it. That includes the friend who never truly clapped for you, the lover who only loved your potential, the family who only supported the version of you they could control. God saw what you couldn't, and what looked like abandonment was actually mercy. You needed room to grow. You needed space to breathe. You needed to stop shrinking just to keep peace with people who never had peace within themselves. You can't carry your calling and their dysfunction. You can't rise while dragging dead weight. You can't bloom in a garden full of weeds pretending to be flowers. So He allowed the shaking. He allowed the departure. He allowed the heartbreak. Because nothing awakens the soul like being left alone with your truth. That's when the real healing begins. That's when you stop asking, why did they leave me? And start asking, why did I cling to what couldn't love me right? That's when you stop blaming yourself for being too much and start realizing they were too limited to handle someone like you. You weren't too emotional. You were deep. You weren't too intense. You were honest. You weren't too spiritual. You were awake. And now that you're learning that truth, you'll never settle again. You'll never beg again. You'll never overextend yourself to fill a void that was never your responsibility. Because the ones who are meant to stay, they won't be intimidated by your depth. They won't disappear when things get real. They won't use your light and run. They'll see you. They'll value you. They'll protect the connection instead of taking advantage of it. But first, this moment had to happen. The letting go, the deep cut, the empty space. Because in that space, something sacred is happening. You are no longer trying to convince people to stay. You are simply making peace with who's meant to go. You are simply making peace with who's meant to go. Because you've outgrown what once held you. Not out of pride, not out of ego, but out of truth. You stopped pretending you didn't notice the red flags. You stopped ignoring the tightness in your spirit around people who smiled with their mouth, but not their energy. You stopped giving people more access to you than they earned. And that's not you being cold. That's you being called. You are stepping into a level where presence matters more than promises, where actions speak louder than apologies, where you don't keep people around because of history. You keep them because of honor. And that kind of shift, it offends the ones who only stayed for convenience. It rattles those who were never rooted in real love. Because when you evolve, everything false falls away. But don't mistake the shedding for abandonment. It's sacred subtraction. It's spiritual mathematics. God is simplifying your circle so your energy can multiply. He's reducing distractions so your vision can sharpen. He's cutting ties so your purpose can breathe. It hurts because you love them. You prayed for them. You saw their potential even when they couldn't. But you cannot heal people who are committed to their wounds. You cannot keep showing up for those who treat your love like an obligation. You cannot pour water into a broken vessel and expect it to overflow. And that's what you were doing. Constantly pouring, constantly fixing, constantly hoping someone would finally see your heart. But you've seen enough now. You've seen how their words never matched their behavior. You've seen how your kindness was taken for granted. You've seen how their silence said more than their apologies ever could. And now, you're not angry. You're just done. Done proving. Done begging. Done carrying relationships that limp because only you were doing the walking. Because here's the truth. The right ones won't walk away. They won't ghost you when things get hard. They won't disappear the moment your light shines too bright. They won't punish you for having a voice, for setting boundaries, for finally choosing yourself. The right ones will recognize you, not resent you. They'll sit with your pain, not escape it. They'll water you, not wither you. But first, you had to learn what not to accept. You had to feel the sting of being left so you could finally stop begging to be chosen. You had to realize that sometimes rejection is redirection. That sometimes people walk away not because you're hard to love, but because your presence makes it impossible to keep hiding. Your love revealed too much. Your honesty hit too deep. Your energy was too clean for their chaos, and instead of rising to meet you, they ran. Not because you were too much, but because you were finally enough to walk away from what wasn't real. So now, you stand different. You speak different. You carry yourself with a new kind of quiet confidence. Not loud, not arrogant, but rooted. Rooted in experience. Rooted in wisdom. Rooted in the sacred knowing that anyone who can leave you should. Because what's meant for you doesn't fear your growth. It grows with you. What's meant for you doesn't make you question your worth. It reminds you of it. What's meant for you doesn't drain you. It revives you. So stop chasing closure from people who were never open. Stop rewriting your soul to fit into stories that were never written for you. Stop grieving the loss of people who only ever loved your silence, not your truth. You are not too intense. You are not too complicated. You are not too sensitive. You are just real. and real is rare. So rare that most people leave before they even try to understand it. Let them. Let the ones who can't handle your truth walk. Let the ones who only loved your mask go. Let the ones who confuse your loyalty with weakness see what it feels like when you're no longer available. Because what's ahead of you? It's not full of people who tolerate you. It's full of people who treasure you. People who pray with you, not prey on you. People who support your growth, not sabotage it. People who stay not out of obligation, but out of alignment. But for them to find you, you had to lose the ones who only showed up for the version of you that stayed small. You had to clear the space. You had to feel the sting of solitude so you could finally find peace in your own presence.